Huge moves incoming. This one's perfect. Devils in the market for a top 6 winger. They're out there. Getting it right, though, a little bit more difficult. Rather options than no options. Let's talk about it. Welcome in to Devils Digest. Feel free to hit subscribe and stick around for the summer as we want all 100% of you here talking Devils hockey over the offseason. Now, over the next few weeks, you're going to hear a lot of speculation. This team wants this player. This player wants to play there. This team wants to move up in this draft. This team wants to move down. There's going to be a lot. Now, luckily for us, our general manager let us know exactly what he wants to do. There's going to be change. There wasn't enough goal scoring. Not happy with the first round exit to Carolina at 91 points. So, here's Elliotte Friedman on Johnathan Marchessault. I freely admit it's purely out of the top of my head. Tough year in Nashville. They need to make some changes. You know, he's 34 years old. 4 more years. A fierce competitor. I don't know, depending on how it all shakes out. Now, looking at Marchessault's numbers this year. 78 games, 21 goals, 56 points. Nashville didn't have a great year. I think it's also probably safe to say Marchessault wasn't happy with the year he had himself. Now, you look at Marchessault's year in total. It's the least amount of goals he's scored since 2015, 2016. Getting rid of the COVID year where they only played 56 games, just can throw that out. You look at a player who scores around 30, has been on good teams, has been a big part of good teams, has won a Conn Smythe, and you go here and you go, well, 21 goals, not a good player anymore. I mean, you guys all know who have watched before. I can't stand recency bias takes. A player who's been consistently good and has one bad year doesn't just make him a bad player. Those everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but those ones feel a little rushed. Maybe take some time with it. And, the time that Johnathan Marchessault spent being around a 30-goal scorer. He's a player in this league who can score. He's shown it before. Getting a player like that probably looks a little bit better. I don't think he's, this player who goes from 42 goals the year prior and then hits 21 when he's been around 30 goals. He played on a bad Nashville team. It was an adjustment. He's been on a, playoff contending team, Stanley Cup contending team for the past almost 7 years. So a little bit of an adjustment. Now, one thing I will say, though, with Johnathan Marchessault, and, has some credibility to it, not so much, maybe as much of a recency bias take. He is 34. He is a little bit older. At some point, he might not be that 30-goal scorer. But when you go ahead and you look at, the Devils lineup, and this is, a little bit not exactly what it's going to look like, but, this is the most recent from the most recent playoff game. I said it going into the playoffs. Lineup looked a little bit older. It looked a little bit more like, those Islander teams that were going on conference finals runs. It looked a little bit more like that. So when I look at it, and you can bring in Johnathan Marchessault, yeah, he's a little bit older, but look at the type of player he'd be replacing. Someone like an Erik Haula, someone like a Stefan Nason. I'm talking about in the lineup. I think Johnathan Marchessault probably gives you a little bit more. Played pretty well with Eichel. Jack Hughes, not bad. Jesper Bratt, pretty good. He'd have good players around him. I don't think he's just completely lost it. Yeah, he's 34 years old, but, this isn't a player who's going to go, to be a 15-goal scorer and not help you. No, he still has his shot. He's still a good player. He still thinks the game well. Those types of things don't go away. And when you look at the Devils lineup right now, I know obviously they're going to make some more signings. They're going to probably, be active in trade rumors. Johnathan Marchessault makes sense. And we know the Devils liked him. It was reported, it looked kind of like he was going to be a New Jersey Devil last offseason, that the Devils wanted to bring him in. 4 years left on his contract. Would the Devils have gotten to there? Is that maybe what, kind of got them away from the Johnathan Marchessault sweepstakes? Maybe. But Tom Fitzgerald knows that, hey, this team needs some change. They should have been a little bit better. It should have been 91 points, a first-round exit to Carolina, who had just traded away their 2 best offensive players. You kind of had a way to the conference finals. I mean, we just saw what Carolina did to the Capitals. Capitals, historically bad in the second round. Probably should have had, a better season if you're New Jersey. They wanted to make some change. This is one of those types of changes. Another player who I brought up at the deadline, who I like a lot personally, Matias Michelli. Now, you look at Michelli this season, 8 goals, 10 assists, 55 games. Another player who didn't have the type of year he wanted. I value Matias Michelli a lot. I think when you put him with players like Jack Hughes, like Jesper Bratt, like Nico Hischier, this guy's a 60-plus point player every single season. He is dynamic. He is someone who's skilled. He is someone who probably is a lot better than where he was drafted. And he is going to be cheaper. Now, I think when you look at Utah, they're probably really disappointed with their season. Kind of like Tom Fitzgerald. It's a little bit easier to make moves with teams like that. When everything's going great and you're happy and you're in your routine, whatever that might be, you're probably not going to change your day the next day. You're probably going to do the same thing that worked that day. But, say following day, you have a flat tire and it kind of ruins the mood. And it could just be the flat tire makes that whole entire day that the day before was really good, makes it really bad. It wasn't predictable, but all of a sudden it's bad and you kind of maybe overreact and make it change. Well, it's probably easier to make a change in those type of circumstances. You look at Tom Fitzgerald's circumstance, 91 points, didn't make the playoffs. You look at Doug Armstrong's circumstance, new place, didn't make the playoffs, didn't really improve enough, made moves during the offseason that didn't work. It's easier to make deals with teams and mindsets like that. They want to both make changes. So go ahead and make a change. You get a young player who's going to be a little bit cheaper, fits your age range, who has shown skill in this league, shows that he can be a 50-point player. I think he gets 60-plus on, first year with New Jersey. Utah, another team that should be active. Devils could definitely make a move onto Matias Michelli. And another guy who, I'm kind of surprised that, he's out there because, he's young, was a top pick, and Minnesota's got a lot of cap room, but we've heard his name out there. Marco Rossi, 82 games, 60 points, had a much better second half of the season. Look, you're good at your number 1 and number 2 spot at center. When healthy, you're good. And obviously, that's kind of become a concern. You need a 3 and a 4. They really didn't have a 4th-line center all season. And when you don't have a 4th-line center, you really didn't have a number 3 either. Marco Rossi, more than capable of doing that for you. A player who's obviously a top draft pick, had a good second half of the season, but he is available to be offer sheeted. Now, where do the Devils want to go with that offer sheet? What number do they want to get to? That's a little bit more, can be up for discussion. But Tom Fitzgerald has said it before. Everything's kind of on the table. It's been rumored that offer sheets are going to be looked at a little bit different this offseason. You usually don't see them out there. Well, this year you might. Some GMs not very happy. They want to make a little bit more of a splash. The cap's going up. There's a lot of things that get put into the equation that could make this work. Now, Marco Rossi, if you can go Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Marco Rossi down the middle, well, you win Stanley Cups down the middle, and that's probably the best middle in the whole entire NHL. So that's something to definitely look at. There's going to be changes. We know that. They need more goal scoring. You look at the roster, the 3 players that I named, all 3 of them could find a top 6 spot and be an upgrade. We'll look at the roster one last time. There's definitely upgrades that need to be made here. Jack Hughes goes down. Dawson Mercer steps in. much better playoffs than he did in the regular season. But, it's been 2 straight years where he struggled. Which one is he? I didn't want to go after last season and be like, oh, well, you know what? Bad year. He's not developing. After this year, you definitely think a little bit more into it. Erik Haula, does he, do they do something with him? Is he on the move? Probably either way, though. Better in your bottom 6. The Devils need to upgrade in their top 6. All 3 of those players, provide extra scoring, get a little bit better there. But let me know your comments down below. Who do you want? Who do you want to see join the Devils? And what do you want to see Tom Fitzgerald do? Let me know down below. Hopefully hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys all really soon.